Hello, YouTube. I want to continue my investigation to the extent possible with available open sources about the secrets of the Arctic, especially the Russian territories, former Soviet territories, and Nazi interest in this. And all this to me is tied in with the presence of numerous quite strange UFOs in the area. And you can see my videos on the subject. I have a playlist in this channel as well as in my book, co-written with Phil Mental, where we discuss the Arctic and special interest to the area by even modern world powers, including China. So let me open another page of history or add something to my previous research on the subject. You see, in 2016, the remains of the secret German weather station treasure hunter Schatzgraber, which operated in 1943-1944 in the Arctic archipelago of Franz Josef Land. Those remains were delivered to the Museum of the Russian Arctic National Park in Arkhangelsk, city of Arkhangelsk. The weather station was the only part of the Arctic project of the Third Reich. Only part. It is known that the Nazis organized expeditions to different parts of the world in order to conduct scientific research. But mostly they were archaeological expeditions, the task of which was to search for occult artifacts and evidence of the Aryan race presence in different lands. Regarding the Arctic, there are also theories claiming that Hitler allegedly planned to find almost the Holy Grail there, or secret passages to the center of the earth, so that it would be easier to seize power over the entire world. But most likely the Nazis' goals in the Arctic were much more realistic. You see, even before the outbreak of World War II, the German military command began to make plans for the Northern Sea route. In particular, if the Germans had been able to control this territory, military and merchant ships would have cruised through it without interference. In 1931, when the relations between the USSR and Germany were still quite cozy, the famous balloonist and airship designer Hugo Eckener, together with a group of German researchers, took part in an international Arctic expedition. The Graf Zeppelin airship, with a team of Soviet and German scientists on board, set a course from Leningrad across the Barents Sea to Franz Josef Land, and from there to Severnaya Zemlya, flew over Taimyr, Novaya Zemlya, and returned safely to Berlin. The Soviet leadership, without hesitation, gave the go-ahead for this flight, since the Arctic lands then represented a completely unexplored, empty space. In 1939, the German General Staff, and in particular the commander of the German submarine fleet, Admiral Karl Dennis, used the results of the report on this scientific expedition to draw up plans for military operations in the Northern Sea Zone. It was at the initiative of Dennis that the construction of special submarines designed for combat operations in the Arctic began. In this regard, it was decided to set up bases for German submarines in the Arctic. Although formally this was the Soviet territory, the border in these uninhabited places was practically not guarded. The construction of the facilities, was carried out directly in the ice in permafrost conditions. Everything needed was delivered by submarines. In March 1941, and German Do-215 aircraft was recorded by Soviet polar aviation over the island of Alexandraland, and in the summer of 1942, Soviet pilots managed to locate an unknown radio station in this area. They also noticed that someone was signaling with missiles from the island. In addition, some structures covered with a metal grid were visible from the air on that island. However, the Soviet command at that time did not have the resources to figure out what was happening in these desolate places and lands. It was necessary to solve more important military tasks. New information about Nazi activities in the Arctic began to appear only after the war. On September 12, 1951, the Soviet research icebreaker Semyon Dezhnev came across the remains of a German military base in the area of Alexandraland on Cape Nimrod. There was a weather site with a radio mast, warehouses, household and residential buildings. The researchers found inside stocks of canned food, clothing, various documents, in particular related to the operation of the radio and weather station. It turned out that during the war, the secret Nazi base, number 24, Kriegsmarine, operated on the island. 5 kilometers away, another base was discovered where, according to the documents found, the Schatzgraber weather station was located from 1943 to 1944. In the late 1950s, during the construction of an airfield on the peninsula of polar pilots, ventilation shafts and entrance to the grotto located under a rock were found. However, it was difficult to get inside because of the tides. This area went underwater every now and then. When this information was made public, rumors spread that Nazi submarines were based in the grotto during the war. There is anecdotal evidence that in September 1944, the commander of the T-116 minesweeper, Lieutenant Commander Babanov, visited this cave. How he got there is not entirely clear. There is a hypothesis that the officer was given a special task to search for secret Nazi bases. Anyway, Babanov said that a stone staircase led down inside the grotto. At the back of the cave, there were 2 piers with equipment to which serviceable electrical cables were connected. The description given by Babanov was quite consistent with the information provided in his memoirs by Grand Admiral Karl Denitz. Nevertheless, the lieutenant commander did not make any official report on his find. Everything is known only from the words of his acquaintances with whom he shared information. Or was the information simply classified? There is a lot of secret related to, first of all, to World War II, in particular, and generally to this area of the Russian Arctic. And who knows what was going on there exactly, and what did the Nazi encounter? From my experience, from decades of research, I'm telling you, it's swarming with UFOs and USOs. And as I said in my lectures, and you can see me on television speaking about it, and sometimes other places, the Yakut people had folkloric beliefs about iron fish. It goes back hundreds of years, or not thousands. No, hundreds. They've seen something down there. And excellent observations by Soviet meteorologists and other scientists. I, present examples in my books. So we'll continue to tell you about the Arctic, but remember, United States, Russia, China, Canada, NATO nations are very much interested in those territories of the Russian Arctic and beyond. Thank you for your attention to my work. If you can support my research, please do so through the links you'll find in the description to this video. Please like my videos. Please tell others.